Since the dawn of time, man has been curious. And for almost as long, the Vibes Broadcast Network has sought the truth. Investigate, discuss, explore. Okay, maybe in other episodes, but this one is just listen to the vibes.
The views and opinions of our guests may not necessarily reflect those of the host or the Vibes Broadcast Network. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Listen to the Vibes. And I have here Mr. John Lee. He develops apps for phones, correct?
For podcasters.
For podcasters, okay. And we're going to get to know him and a little bit about what he does. And we'll just kick it off. You just tell us about you.
Thanks, Kyle. I'm the founder of a small business called Custommobile.app. That's also our website. And in short, we make mobile applications for podcasters. So if you wanted an app for your show, if you're a single podcast, we've got a network of shows, we can make an app just for your show on the App Store and Google Play. So you're not sharing real estate with Apple or Spotify. It's your own app where your listeners can download and they can engage all of your content. But most importantly, they can convert and become a customer or a financial supporter inside your own property.
Okay, so if I had something like that done, is it something people subscribe to or okay?
Yep. Yeah, our model is subscription based. So we're $25 a month for just a single show. It's got one podcast. That's it. And if you're a network, you've got multiple shows under one brand, that would be $50 a month. So
okay.
It's the most affordable, accessible way to have an app, I think, period, out there.
And how long you been doing this?
This is just over a year. I launched the website and the business January of last year.
Okay. And so I've got my shows and I want to, I've got two shows and I want to get these kicked off. And so exactly what would be the process to get me there?
Yeah, so I use Patreon as my membership platform, just like a lot of podcasters do.
Mm-hmm.
And to join is you become a member of my Patreon, and we can build one app for each of your shows, so a separate app for each, or we can make one app that, if you've got a brand that covers both of those shows, we can make one app for the brand, and inside that app you'll have both podcasts in there for listeners to access.
Well, I can just hear someone out there now say, okay, well, I've got a Patreon or I can do that myself. What would be the benefits of using your service compared to just doing it yourself?
Oh, Patreon is my back end in terms of that's the way I manage my customers. My customers come in and they become my patrons, and I communicate with them through Patreon as just my customer relationship management tool.
Okay.
But we build native mobile apps for your show. So you'll find them on the App Store. You'll find your app on Google Play, and your listeners can find them there, and they'll download the app onto their phones. So the front door to your show will be in their phones, in their pockets from that point forward. And the purpose of that is to build relationships with your listeners. Everything starts from there, right? To know your listeners, to build that relationship so that eventually they can support you in the work you're doing. They can buy merchandise, buy courses, buy your books, or support you on Patreon. If you have your own Patreon account, they can become financial supporters of the content that they're listening to. So that conversion piece is the benefit of having an app as well as a website. So website, app kind of go together. Websites are fairly easy to set up. Apps traditionally have been very expensive to build from scratch. So we're providing an affordable way to get an app for your show.
Yeah, I'm awful when it comes to technology, and I have a Patreon account, but I haven't used it yet because I don't quite understand how that thing works yet. I'm trying to find someone who can help me. Would you be able to maybe help with
Absolutely,
that?
yeah, I'd love to help you. Yeah, you can Patreon is a membership platform. So if for your show, you wanted your listeners to support you financially to keep doing your podcast, Patreon is a very popular way that content creators basically build their own community of financial supporters. Patreon calls them patrons, which is like a traditional word for someone who's financially supported art, right?
Okay.
So it's a way to organize and manage your patrons. You can communicate with them. There's like a chat feature that you can communicate with them. You can post content. You can post like exclusive content just to your patron. So that's an incentive for them to become a patron. They'll get content that they couldn't get on the public podcast. They may be able to get through Patreon if they support you financially.
Mm-hmm.
So lots of creative ways to use that platform, but ultimately it's to grow your own community.
I'm definitely interested in that. I have, YouTube, Odyssey, Rumble, Buzzsprout, all these different platforms that the show goes out to. And I wondered what would I do different on Patreon that would make somebody want to pay for it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know exactly what to do.
Patreon would be the place where you could share your like private content to your financial supporters. So it's the platform that helps you manage your community. It's like a community management platform. You might make private content on YouTube. You might write a private blog, some exclusive content, right? Just for people who are supporting you financially. Patreon would be a way that you can give that to them. Like lock it up, give it to only those folks that are supporting you financially. That's what it's for. It's to build a community of financial supporters who are helping you finance the work you're doing and make it sustainable.
In this world of podcasting or putting up content on YouTube and what have you, just like with social media, you get kind of a high when you get those subscribers or follows and that kind of thing. But I have noticed that there's a lot of folks that are doing this content that are having issues, I don't know, with confidence, having, just mental issues with this kind of thing. What advice do you have for folks that may be wanting to start or are doing it already and maybe having these issues?
That's interesting. I thought you were going somewhere else with that question initially. I thought you were going to go content creators. Some of them are having issues with like deplatforming. Some of their content.
See, that's part of it too.
Mm-hmm.
That's another issue. Because, you get a strike if you say the wrong thing. I mean, you know how it is. I don't want to get into politics, but if you have one view, you get pushed. But if you have another view, you get canceled. So
Exactly.
that's part of that.
Yeah, that's one of the main reasons content creators are beginning to build their own communities. So like an email list is the most obvious way, right? If you build your own newsletter and you're emailing your content to your email subscribers, no one's going to deplatform you from your email list. Those are contacts that you own. That's an audience that you own as the owner, right? As the business owner, as the content creator. That's the benefit of building these kind of proprietary communities on Patreon, in an email list, through your website, rather than through a third-party platform like YouTube or whatever, right? They can always kick you off, and then you'll lose the audience you worked so hard to build, and which can be very financially devastating as well.
There's a lot of folks that have quit their jobs because they do so well, like on a YouTube, and they get monetized. They make a lot of money, and so they're able. Now I haven't gotten quite that far yet, but I'm almost there. I'm right on the edge of it. But like for me, and there's a lot of people like me who have been at it for a year, 2 years, what have you, and they built up a pretty good audience. I mean, I'm not up there with some of the big names, but I mean, right close.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they're reluctant to get into doing their own apps and websites and stuff. What would you say to them?
I just try to emphasize that it's a smart business decision. It's a way to protect yourself as a business owner, because content creators are business owners.
Mm-hmm.
And to make sure that you're going to be around and your business is going to be growing without being so dependent on a third party like YouTube or Twitter to be always in their good graces, it's a good idea to start building your own relationships with your own audience, like direct channels to your audience, whether that's building an email list.
Mm-hmm.
We'll hear a lot, but having your own app is another way to own that relationship and not have a middleman in the middle controlling access. Either way, the more your listeners can contact you and connect with you directly, the stronger your business is going to be. So that'd be my encouragement to, yes, think about monetization. Great if you're making money through these third-party platforms, but also be thinking about covering yourself from risk and building something that's going to resist an earthquake, the unexpected that can always happen.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Twitter. I was on Twitter for a while, and people get so ugly on there. I mean, not that the other platforms don't have those kind of folks, but I ended up just getting rid of Twitter. It's just I don't have anything to do with it. But I mean, in this world, you got to be part of some of these big platforms and and able to promote yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, so someone like me, who, I mean, my Instagram's doing well, but the rest of them are kind of so. Do you promote these businesses, or how would someone go about to get the people to come to the app?
Yeah, so we help. I'll promote our clients on my Twitter. I'm most active on Twitter in terms of the business.
Mm-hmm.
I do have an IG account, but I'm not really on that anymore. And I don't have the bandwidth really to, as a single entrepreneur, to give that the attention I think it deserves. It hasn't really helped my business very much. So I'm considering getting rid of my Instagram account at some point, but it's really, though, up to the client. It's up to the podcaster to be promoting their own properties to their audience. So if you're a podcast and you've been around a while, you're probably going to be driving your audience to your website. You'll say things like, you can hear us on wherever you get your podcast, but we'd love to have you visit us at our home, at our website, right? And they'll give the name of the website, because that's where all the magic happens, on the website, on the app. If you have your own app, that's where the conversions happen. That's where the deeper engagements happen. And that's where your super fans can become customers. And that's what builds a solid business.
Now, I'll be honest with you, my website, it's very generic. It's one of those Google websites. And I get pretty good amount of people that come to visit it. I mean, there's nothing really much to offer on it. Just tells you about the shows and how to get there. I would like to develop a better website. So tell me about yours.
Well, I think, getting people to your website is huge, but being clear on what you want them to do there is also really important. Like, they're coming and they're learning more about the show. That's great. But you want them to take a call to action. So that's a term you'll hear in digital marketing, like call to action. What is the action you want that visitor to take? And that could be sign up to your newsletter if you've got a newsletter. And again, that's building that email list. Or it might be support me on Patreon, like support the show. They'll may click on that link and they'll support you on Patreon. And then now you've got a monthly financial supporter going forward. It might be buy my merchandise. You've got mugs and t-shirts branded for the show, so you can support the show this way. So there are a bunch of ways, a bunch of actions that you might want to help your visitors take or drive your visitors to take that will help your show from a business perspective and keep it going in the long run.
So a lot of us use Teespring. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
I've seen that one. Yep. Lots of content creators use that, or some of them have their own Shopify e-commerce sites. They're selling merchandise that way. Lots of different ways to do similar things, right? Just you're selling stuff
Yeah.
on top of the content you're producing for free. For the most part, the content is free. But yeah, lots of creative ways to think about monetizing the content, monetizing the audience you build through your content.
Mm-hmm. Now I do a lot of this stuff on my own, which, the booking people, doing the interviews, doing the editing, doing the uploading and all that. A newsletter would be nice, but that'd be something that I'd have to have someone else do. So somebody's just starting off, want to get to the point where we can hire people to help. I am fortunate enough that I'm at the point I can hire someone to help me with the algorithms, and someone does help me with the bookings. But for the most part, I'm it. You know what I mean? I want to get to that point, just getting into it. I mean, would we be able to maybe get help from you, or would you be able to point people in the right direction to get someone to help do newsletters and things like that? Is this just something that you're kind of on your own for?
So that's not something that we would help directly with, but in terms of finding others who can help with some of those other aspects of the show that you may want to develop, like content creation for the email, newsletter, merchandising, right? Those are things that I think we could probably reach out to our client community and see what are our other clients doing? How are they getting the content, repurposing their maybe podcast content into a newsletter or into blog articles, or how are they creating merchandise and selling them through the website or through the app? We've got a pretty good client community now of about 40 podcasters. So I always love it when our clients collaborate and share notes and help each other out.
That's another question I had, and you answered, is would this community be able to connect, and how do we connect with each other?
Yeah, the great thing about Patreon is it is like a private social network, in that if you are a patron, you can interact within the community. So there are ways to reply to posts and chat to each other inside Patreon, just amongst our community of patrons.
And what made you decide to start doing this?
Well, this is the second, maybe third iteration of a business I tried to start a couple of years ago. So it's not like I started it from scratch last January. It's a result of trying to start a different kind of a business, my own podcast app. I tried to build my own app a couple of years ago, hired an agency, raised a little money from friends and family to try to do that. And long story short, that didn't work out. And I had to figure out how to make it work, because failure was not an option. I needed to pay back my friends and family from whom I had borrowed money. So I came up with this idea where maybe we pretty much built our own app. So is there a way that we can use this app and help podcasters put their brand on it, use it like their own app, just with their name on it and their icon? It looks like their own. And would they be interested in having an app for their show? So that's where the idea began. And we started recruiting podcasters just to be beta testers of the idea. And that's where it grew from. I redid the website last January and launched it. And I've been slowly building our little community of podcasters ever since. I don't do any advertising. It's all word of mouth. And, I reached out to you personally on Podmatch, right? That's how I can reach out to all of my clients, just one-on-one, having conversations. And then, every couple of weeks, we'll get a new member. So it's been a slow and steady growth.
So I think Podmatch ought to pay us for the advertising, because I've mentioned them a few times in my shows. Wonderful site. Just started on it about a week ago, and within 3 days, my calendar was almost completely full. Yeah. So I love that, and we're getting to meet a lot of great people. Even if you don't do a show together, you still have a good connection on there. But enough about them. What clicks inside of you to not give up? Because I know some folks will get started on something and then they fail, and then they're like, oh, that's it, I'm done, I suck.
I think it did help that I was financially obligated to my friends and family, because in the beginning, I didn't have all the money I needed to do it myself. Right? I didn't have that much savings. So I had to ask very humbly friends and family to come join me and trust me to start the journey. Yeah, and that's huge. Like there really isn't any way I'm gonna give up when I've got my mother-in-law to pay back and my friends who have given me some money. I want to give them a return on that investment. So that's been huge. Yeah, that's definitely prevented me from giving up. Um, yeah, and it's also part of, I think, my professional journey. I want to be a small business owner.
Mm-hmm.
I want to start many small businesses going forward. This is just the first one that I've trying to get off the ground. So for me, it's not just about the money. It's about the experience of it and developing a skill set to do this, for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Well, if you're going to have a business, you have to sell yourself before you sell your business. I mean, that's just the way it seems to be. There's a lot of shady people out there. You know this. Um, sell me on John Lee. I want to know you. I want to know what you're all about, and because I'm considering this seriously.
Yeah, I mean, as a first-time entrepreneur, that's all I have, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have no track record. All I have are my relationships, and the people that trust me are the people that know me the best, and that would be family and friends. And those are the folks that trusted me enough to lend me the money I needed to get started. Yeah, and as I built this business, and hopefully it'll be big enough where I can maybe sell it in the future or keep growing it, that'll be a good success story on the belt that I can use to go to the next business and start over again. But yeah, it's just me. I own and run the business. I operate the business myself. I do all the customer service. I do all the selling. I built the website and I write all the content. So I am the business. If you sign up, you'll be working with me directly. And yeah, I'd have it no other way right now. I'm learning everything, right? From selling to servicing. Yeah. For me, it's a huge learning opportunity to be wearing all the hats.
So are you taking on investors, or are you're kind of where you're at right now?
No, yeah, no investors, no plans on taking on investors. It's just, it's sustainable. It's financially sustainable right now, but I do want to grow it. And I think this year, hopefully, if we keep growing at this steady rate, I think it'll start to like, I don't know what's the word. It's like, it's not going to hockey stick, I don't think, but at a certain point of growth, the word of mouth will start to kick in and people will start to talk about it. And I won't have to do as much direct selling. But for now, Podmatch has been great to reach out to podcasters and get to know and start conversations.
Now, what's really important to me is customer service. I hate going into a store and trying to track somebody down. Hey, help me with this, help me with that. And then half the time you get somebody that just doesn't care about their job. They don't, it's almost like you're annoying them for asking them for help. And so I'm sure, along with myself, there's going to be people that are going to say, well, are you going to really give me your time? Am I going to be able to call you or message you and say, hey, John, I'm having this concern? And I mean, are you going to be able to handle that?
And that's the benefit of signing up to a startup with one owner operator. You get that direct connection to the CEO. And so I do all the customer service. I answer every email, every message through Patreon. And I try to respond as soon as I can. If I see a message, it'll be right away. But if it's after hours, I'll respond just the next day. So you have direct access to me.
Okay. I get a good gut feeling about you. And so I want to put my money where my mouth is. What is it going to take for someone like me to get started?
Yeah, so check us out first at Custommobile.app. That's the website. And read through what's there, the features, and whoever's ready to sign up, they can click on the sign up button. And that'll take you to our Patreon. You can see the 2 tiers we have and pick the one that makes sense for you. And if any listeners are coming through your show, I've been giving a 1-month free trial for anyone who wants to come and just try it. We'll refund you the first month's subscription fee. So there's no risk in just getting started, building the app, testing it out. And if you like it, then we can move forward with it.
Okay. So a single show you said is $25?
Yeah, $25 a month.
Okay. And that's to get started?
Yep. And the first month is free. So we'll refund that first month.
Okay. I tell you what, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to sign up for it. We'll give this a shot. We'll give it a couple months and see how it goes. And things work out. I want to have you back on the show and talk about, I'm putting, like I said, my money where my mouth is. I'm planning on it being a success. So what do you say we set up something and then come back in a couple months, and that way I can say, yes, this is working out.
Let's do it. That sounds great.
All right. Well, maybe we can make an exchange every once in a while. You give me a discount and I'll give you free advertisement on the show.
Absolutely. And we've got a great referral program too. I'll share it with you after, but yeah, would love to work with you. And then you can share with your audience what the experience has been like. That'd be amazing.
Okay. Well, we're going to plan on it. And you said, what's the website once more?
It's Custommobile, one word, .app.
Okay. I will put the link to that in the description. And do you have any social media that folks can follow?
Yeah, they can find us through the website. Like I said, I'm mostly on Twitter, but the Twitter and the IG links to there are all on the website. They can find us there.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate you coming on, and I'm excited to get this started because I have a good feeling about this, and the things are growing to the point where I think we can take another step.
That sounds great.
So, John, once again, thank you. And for everyone out there that's watching or listening, if you're new to the channel, thank you for stopping by. And please hit that subscribe button. Come on back. For those of you who are regular to the channel, I want to say thank you for your support, because it's because of you that I'm doing what I'm doing. And until the next one, please take care. Be kind to one another. God bless and peace.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Listen to the Vibes. You can catch us on Buzzsprout or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, and on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook at The Vibes Broadcast Network